The TVA's authority and access across the multiverse make a possible MCU return for Loki all the more exciting. The possibilities are endless as it is, but the TVA interfering can, well, go beyond anybody's wildest imaginations. Granted, I guess it should be wise to take everything with a grain of salt. But it's kind of rumored that the TVA are going to be the minor villains of these upcoming movies. So if you haven't been following up with all the recent Marvel must-watches, might be worth doing a rewatch ASAP. Loki fans have been on the TVA train for a while now. One of the people most responsible for bringing that bureaucratic entity into the MCU is none other than producer Kevin Wright. He was the mastermind behind the series on Disney Plus and really pushed for the TVA to be a big part of Tom Hiddleston's character for the show. In a previous interview with Variety, Wright explained how long he'd worked on Loki. It was a labor of love, but for him it was really fun to see how much the TVA plays into the rest of the MCU now. As the multiverse saga hurtles forward, he's hoping that more of the organization gets picked up and expanded on by other creators. To reference the new Deadpool movie, which, spoiler alert, had a fair amount of TVA meddling, now we just have to figure out who the anchor being is for the sacred timeline. Oh, and ideally keep them alive, for obvious reasons. According to the rumor mill, allegedly Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the chosen one from Universe 616, and it sounds like at some point between Doomsday and Secret Wars, Earth 616, as we know it, is going to be destroyed. And I feel like Loki could be really helpful, or just amusing, during all of the ensuing chaos. Look, do y'all remember that after discovering that the bureaucratic society was set up as a failsafe, the trickster decided to even the odds by allowing the multiverse to exist at the cost of his own freedom? Like, I feel like that can't be the end of the God of Mischief. Maybe Deadpool will have some way to bring Loki back in the future? Only time will tell. Speaking of the mark with a mouth, Deadpool and Wolverine end up in the new universe at the end of Deadpool 3, so Hugh Jackman is definitely here to stay, at least until the end of Secret Wars, which kind of makes sense as this next arc is allegedly going to be used as a way to send off the Fox leftovers, if you will. Nothing against them, but the MCU wants a major dose of adrenaline. Well, they need it. They also need some freshness, and they're kind of struggling there. Granted, we did love seeing all of our X-Men in Deadpool. And while we're on that topic, and by that I mean the whole thing about, allegedly how the Secret Wars movies will serve as a send-off for the classic Fox X-Men. Before ushering in a new cast, we might as well elaborate. Azazel, played by Jason Fleming in X-Men First Class, returned to the big screen for Deadpool and Wolverine, just hanging out in the void. If we're gonna go back in the Fox world though, back in First Class, Azazel was kind of a minor part. Just a member of that crazy group, Hellfire Club. The group that wanted mutant supremacy, tried to recruit the X-Men to join them. Azazel, his fellow members, they just wanted to help their leader, Sebastian Shaw, with a nuclear war. No big. Thankfully, Shaw's plans were foiled, he was killed, and the rest is history. Oh, and following the death of their leader, that's how we got the Hellfire Club to form the Brotherhood of Mutants. You know where that goes. Kelly Hu played Lady Deathstrike in X2, but that wasn't the case in the MCU. When Lady Deathstrike appears in Deadpool and Wolverine as a part of Cassandra Nova's crew of castaways, we had a new actress. Jade Lai, an incredibly professional stuntwoman, was the actress who appeared as Lady Deathstrike in the movie, and despite the non-speaking role, she was still very much an impressive and intimidating figure in the film. Perhaps a scheduling conflict prevented Kelly from returning for Deadpool and Wolverine, or her reps and Marvel just couldn't agree on terms. She said it herself back in 2022 that she would love to return as Lady Deathstrike, and I guess we'll see. I think she'll appear again. Daphne Keane made a spectacular return as X-23 in Deadpool and Wolverine. Real name Laura originally appeared in the critically acclaimed Logan, once thought of as Hugh Jackman's final Wolverine movie, before the actor decided, yeah, let's give it another try for Deadpool and Wolverine. And we are so glad he did. But as a clone of Wolverine, X-23's power kind of mirrors the X-Man's. We've got the retractable claws, the healing factor, and I have a feeling she's going to be around for a while, so come back for Secret Wars. Tyler Mane will probably continue to return as the character he played in Deadpool and Wolverine. I know we were all hoping for Liev Schreiber from X-Men Origins, but even though he's talked a lot about wanting to return as Sabretooth, doesn't look like it's ever gonna happen. Aaron Stanford has been super open about how incredibly excited he was to return as Pyro for Deadpool and Wolverine, and I don't think it's gonna end there. So Stanford debuted as Pyro in X-Men United, and we had him in X-Men The Last Stand, and now Deadpool and Wolverine. And he's super happy after that 18-year break. Also, Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen have been rumored to be on screen in Secret Wars. I know a lot of folks thought maybe Deadpool, but I think it's gonna be Secret Wars. Now, Now, they first appeared as Professor X and Magneto, respectively, in the 2000s X-Men movie, and ever since, they've been popping up everywhere. Now, in an interview, Sir Patrick Stewart said, "I can't say about what Charles's future might possibly hold, but I feel like that's him just playing it coy. It seems like the veteran actors aren't really ready to retire from the studio yet." Look, Stewart already appeared in the crazy blockbuster Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And also, he's not retiring anytime soon. Ian McKellen, not retiring anytime soon. We'll see them again. If Secret Wars is a way to tie all of this up, who can we welcome next? Well, for starters, I think Firestar could be a great addition to the MCU. She wasn't in any of the Fox X-Men movies, and her most memorable appearance to date was in the animated 80s cartoon, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and then she was written into the comics. And I think this sort of lack of on-screen presence is exactly what a new X-Men movie will need. Firestar can be that young mutant who acts as the vessel for new and unfamiliar audiences to first immerse into this world, with Professor Xavier's school. Like in the first X-Men movie, going way back when, that's how we got Wolverine and Rogue, that whole dynamic. So if we get a small public incident with Firestar and her powers, I think that could really work. Also, poor Gambit originally didn't get much of a fair shake in the Fox X-Men franchise. You had him in a small role in the very underwhelming X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then, there was oh, maybe we're gonna get this solo Gambit movie with Channing Tatum, and that never made it past the production stage, and it was canceled. But now that Marvel is starting with a blank slate again, it only seems fair to give Gambit a chance to shine. Especially now that we've all seen how incredible Channing Tatum was in Deadpool and Wolverine, right down to the comic accurate accent. Also, the character really brings a gray side of morality to the team. As an ex-thief, he can really show how the X-Men are the force for good for mutant kind in the MCU. My personal bias is showing, but I think Pixie or Megan Gwynn would be a really fun fit into this future for X-Men. She's adorable, she's pink, there's this whole struggle with her powers that can really work on screen, and also, think of the merchandising. Pixie's been described as one of Marvel's most notable and powerful female heroes. And she's teamed up with X-23 before. It's an easy in. Are we maybe getting She-Hulk? Well, speaking on Deadline's Hero Nation podcast, She-Hulk attorney-at-law head writer Jessica Gao addressed maybe. So the interviewer first referred to a scene from She-Hulk that takes place outside the prison, and you can hear a reporter saying, "Oh, heard she's been rejected from the Avengers." Well, when asked if She-Hulk maybe would appear in Doomsday or Secret Wars, Gao was like, "I'd be shocked if Walters didn't make the cut." She's like, "I would be shocked if they didn't start putting her in the movies, especially the big group team-up ones." Mark Ruffalo also had stuff to say about She-Hulk's future in the Avengers, saying, "There's not going to be another Avengers without her." So, Secret Wars? Well, that's all for today, folks. I've been Alexa. See ya!